All right, all right. How's it going, everybody? Happy Wednesday. If you're new here, welcome in, and if you've been here before, welcome back. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny, especially these knives. And man, I've been getting a ton of these in lately. You know, knives like this. And of course, knives like this. This one's from a viewer. Shout out to Oreo Dave. Oreo Dave, you know who you are. Lent this to me. We Knives Arrakis, designed by Elijah Isham. Overview and ranking on this. Not too far in the future. Dang. Good stuff. Anyways, I know these lives tend to start off a little bit slow here on this channel. Got to wait for people to get in. Got to wait for the people to get excited, get to talking. So if you end up in the chat, make sure that you go ahead and pop in and say hello. Get the chat pulled up on my side so that I can make sure to see it when they come in. This isn't Ask Me Anything. And guys, if you're watching this after the fact, sorry you missed it. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, I'll be going live. And when that happens, you can pop in the chat, ask me anything. We're going to do Instagram deep dives. We're going to do looks at new knives, do some window shopping because, let's be honest, we all like to look at knives all the time. So, yeah, good times. Make sure that if you can, you drop by 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time every Wednesday. Unless something tragic happens, in which case I might have to reschedule. But for the foreseeable future, it'll be 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Hey, Oreo Dave in the chat. How's it going, brother? I don't know if you missed it, but man, I opened up with this guy. Should look a little familiar to you. Thank you for letting me borrow this. This knife is surprising. You know what's crazy about this We Arrakis is that I've looked at this knife so many times, but very few, like, no matter how much you look at a knife, nothing compares to having it in the hand. And the action on this is ridiculously smooth. That's nuts to me. So shout out to you, Dave. Thank you for lending this to me. And I'm looking forward to getting my thoughts on this recorded and getting them out there. I'm planning on doing a bit of a comparison video with this one with the Arcane Plexus. For those of you that don't know what an Arcane Plexus looks like, let me grab it from my case real quick. So this is the latest design from Isham and what is most likely going to be the last design. And there's just some uncanny things about Isham designs that you don't get from any other designer. And so it's going to be really fun to be able to compare some great designs from him. I got some premium models here. The Arrakis, the Plexus, and I also have a budget model from him, which is the Anthropos, the Civivi Anthropos. This one's in Damascus, G10 handle scales, but it still has that cornerstone Isham feel, which I just love. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a comparison, or rather an overview, and of course I'll be doing a ranking of the Arrakis. But I'll tell you right now, what surprised me the most on this knife is how much I like the carbon fiber. The carbon fiber on here is so good. And I'll say this, there's very few knives out there that I prefer carbon fiber to titanium on. This very well might be one of them. The carbon fiber on here just feels so good, so dang good. And it's very well done. Carbon fiber can feel cheap sometimes, especially when knives do that carbon fiber overlay like they did on this Anthropos from Civivi. Granted, this is a $50 knife. So, you know, I don't expect the carbon fiber to be premium on here. You know, I'm okay with I'm okay with a sticker over G10 because that's what you get for $50. But they do make these, or at least they made these with the copper scales. And I might get one with the copper scales just so I can swap them onto this one, because if you get that model with the copper scales, you don't get the Damascus blade. And I love this Damascus. Civivi does a great job with their Damascus. Oreo Dave says, glad you're enjoying it. Feels weird to see my baby being fondled by another man. I'm taking good care of her, brother. I really am. And I got to say, I'm all about that action. That action, I've messed with so many knives recently. I get around. And the action on this Arrakis, no joke, is one of the smoothest. Like, it's hydraulic and glassy, but smooth. It's free falling, free floating. That's money. That is money. And you know, the blade, the design on the blade with all the cutouts, you know, like that is, being able to see through it is so trippy. And seeing that continue from the handle to the blade, I mean, maybe I shouldn't say too much. Maybe I'm already, you know, releasing my thoughts on this just live, but that is fantastic. I'll say this, it is smaller in the hand than I thought it would be. It's one of those things where you never know until you have it in hand. Or maybe I just think that it feels small in the hand because I get around like Tupac. Yes, sir. But I was going to say, maybe I just feel like this feels smaller in the hand than what I expected, because I've been holding on to a lot of really, really heavy knives recently. Midgard's Messer USA sent out a box of loaners for me to review. This was in there. Big old Beowulf. Crazy, crazy overbuilt knife. Surprisingly, very comfortable in the hand. And then, of course, for those of you who watch Metal Complex, he's been raving about this one, the Viking. And guys, these are enormous knives. What's crazy is just how good they are at cutting through things. Like, shoot, let me see here. I knew I was going to do this at some point, so might as well. Big old overbuilt knife. Oops, sorry. The amount of cutting you can do with a knife like this is insane. I have knives with thick blade stocks. They don't cut like this. It's voodoo. Pretty sure. And then, of course, this one I think so far has been my favorite. And I've already released my video on this one. This is the Thunrar. Light blue handle scales. Big old thick Nordic Bowie. But it is so cool. I love clip point style blades. And I mean, they're going to say that this is a Bowie, but it's got a Tonto grind. It's full flat. And the flat comes into such an acute angle that, just like the other ones, the cutting geometry on this guy is also good. Like, I'm making a mess. But it's addictive, you know, to hold on to something this thick and chunky and be able to just rip through whatever. Matthew Russell in the house says, of course it feels small. There's nothing there. It's a shovel. Dave says, that knife completely alters your expectations from seeing it versus holding it. And yes, after playing with the heavyweights, the Arrakis is a flyweight. Well, you know, it's not all about size. Size does matter, but he's not wrong. The weight on here, this is one of those knives that would be so much fun to carry on an everyday basis because it is lightweight, because the ergonomics do make sense once you get a chance to hold it in hand. And the matte finish on this blade, I'm not a huge blacked out blade kind of guy. Sometimes the aesthetic makes sense. Sometimes it doesn't. And on this one, it does, because the blade has this matte type finish that I don't think is going to come through very well on there, but it's fingerprint resistant because I got these big man hands that get grease fingerprints all on them. And that finish is beautiful. It's almost a stone wash. The matte just feels sleek, and it looks better than if it had been a gloss finish. and I've been gushing about this action, just for the kids at home. We'll go ahead and it doesn't get any smoother than that. It really doesn't. Is it a middle finger flicker? No, definitely not. But it doesn't need to be. Plus, I'm a big fan of that profile. Dave, I know you're getting a showcase. You're getting a knife case here in the next couple of months, next month or two. This is going to look phenomenal in there. The moment I held this in my hand, I immediately wanted to run to Blade HQ and see if they had any more available and buy them. But I stopped myself because I just bought the plexus, and it's really easy for me to buy more than I should with knives because I'm like, ooh, shiny, gotta have it. And then, the bills come due. So yeah, we're going to go ahead and hop into, let's go ahead and, you know what? We're going to hop into Blade HQ and DLT and River's Edge Cutlery. Check out what's new. I was scrolling through Blade HQ and I saw a few things. It looks like they've got some Chavez knives that are now available. The thing about Chavez knives is you kind of got to get them when you can, because like they'll be out there and then they're gone, and it's an indescribable amount of time before you can find one again. And I know some people have been hunting the Chavez knives, but it's just kind of weird how they do their releases, because you never know and you get very little notice, and then it seems like they're always available when you don't have a budget for knives, or at least that's what it was like for me. $375. The Sangre 229 Warncliffe, full titanium. That's not too bad. What else do we got here? Hey, Brian Watson in the chat, popping in to say what's up. What's up, Brian? How's it going, man? Matthew Russell says, I have that problem too. Almost bought the Native 5 Blade HQ, had on sale today for $99. Let's pop it up here. Let's see if it's still on sale. Let's see. Native 5. All right. Native 5 lightweight, 138, 120. Come on, baby. Give me 99. I do not see it. Do not see it. It's okay. Where was it? Because I was going to say a Native 5 for $99. Maybe it was a flash sale. But what else do they got? So, yeah, the Chavez are going to be the new ones. They've got the, wow, that one's not bad at all. Look at that carbon fiber. So the last Chavez that I bought had micarta, and it was micarta show side and then titanium clip side. And I'll be honest, I was not a fan of that micarta. It got greasy immediately. Like, you pick it up, put it in your hand, and boom, greasy micarta. And I was not a fan of how it patinaed literally immediately. There's $50, $60 knives out there that have much better micarta than the ones that Chavez came out with. Maybe I'm just particular to a certain kind of micarta. So when I see carbon fiber like this as a show scale, I'm actually okay with that. Of course, looks like, titanium on the clip side. So I was curious about this, and I'm glad that we're looking at this, because for the longest time you could only get a Chavez with this clip. And of course my face is blocking the clip. Let's do this. Okay. So this clip right here, the skull head clip, and it seemed like everybody, the people were divided. They're like, no, we don't want the skull clip. That's corny. Yes, we do want the skull clip. It just seemed like people were divided. So Ramon Chavez said, what the hey, I'll just start including these. And I got to say, like, I get it. It will make it a non-flamboyant clip. But part of the reason why I really like the Chavez knives is that he's unapologetic about his designs. And that skull head clip is just in your face, heavy metal rock and roll. And it's one of the ways that you can really immediately tell without a shadow of a doubt that you're looking at a Chavez is because of that clip. And to then neuter it with this monstrosity, and I'll just say this is a monstrosity. If you don't like the Chavez clip, there's a ton of other knives out there that'll give you a Wharncliffe style or drop point style or whatever style, because his styles are rather on the safer side, but he does a really good job on them. And so for me, it's like, if you don't like this clip, why are you looking at a Chavez? Of course, everyone has their own opinion. It's personal opinion. I get that. But it just makes me wonder, like, if you're not down with the clip, like, what else about the knife is so special to you? Because that's one of the biggest identifying factors, if not the biggest. Maybe I just have a big opinion about it. Ryan Watson says, Yojimbo 2 or Para 2 or 3? Ooh. I have all three of those knives. So, Paramilitary 2 is my most recent Spyderco purchase, and I love this guy. I briefly toyed with the idea of replacing the scales, and then I decided that I really liked it the way that it was because I'm carrying it all the time. This is a great knife. I'll say this: if you like a longer blade, Paramilitary 2 all the way. If you're partial to Wharncliffes, and one of the reasons why I really like Wharncliffes is because of how easy they are to maintain that edge. I don't really sharpen my knives a whole lot. I get the bevel that I want, and then I strop them. Stropping is so much better for maintaining a nice edge, because a lot of times people will sharpen a knife because it lost its edge, and they're taking off more metal. But when you strop, a lot of times you just need to strop your edge. Think of a barber. Barbers go through hair, and hair kills the edge on their razors. And then they don't sharpen the razor, they strop it. And the nice thing about a Wharncliffe is that with that straight edge, it's so easy just to hit it on the strop a couple times and boom, it's a laser beam again, especially if you ever so slightly widen that bevel. Yojimbo 2, I heard that they're coming out with some new sprint runs. So we might be seeing this in some new steels soon. I'm not sure which ones, but I saw that they are going to be doing some sprint runs. And then, of course, my favorite carry knife is my Para 3. The Para 3, to me, the reason why this gets carried so much is the ergonomics. It just makes so much sense in my hands. I don't have to think about this one. If I could only pick one, I would probably do the Para 3, to be completely honest with you. But that is only because I love the ergonomics so much and how the handle is shaped. It just fits my hands very well. Even if it was without, the scales and the clip and the wave. Stock format, same thing. It's so good to carry. When I got this over a year ago, it stayed in my pocket. It lived in my pocket. I almost put it through the wash. It was in my pocket so much. Long story short, depending upon what you're going to be using it for, you can't go wrong with any of those. Para 3 was the one that really stole my heart, and it got me into doing some modifications. So, I can't go wrong suggesting this one. It's probably my favorite plain Jane EDC knife of all time. And if you want something like a little more overbuilt, you can get some scales. You can get zirconium scales, titanium scales. You can get different pocket clips. I could probably go on for this entire live stream talking about how much I love the Para 3. Matthew Russell says, I think they sold out. It was a flash sale of some kind. Dude, at $99, if they were selling a native at $99, I'm surprised you even saw it. Brian Watson says, I'll take the skull clip over the new design with the 4 head screws now. Dude, if you get a Chavez, rock the skull clip. Just do it. That is I feel like one of the things we pay for when we buy a knife that costs over $100 is we're paying for the soul of the designer, the soul that the designer put in there. When Chavez put that plain Jane clip in there, he did not put any soul into that clip. He was pandering to Karen because Karen said, I don't want a skull clip. So that's why I'm so against putting that other clip on there, because you're just taking away from the designer's creative process. And that's one of the things that we pay for when we pay good money. It's not just the materials, it's also the hard work that went into the design, and every little bit counts. So for me, I support the designer's vision. I think that's important. You know, every knife can tell a story, especially in the design. And so I would never, ever replace the skull clip on a Chavez, because that's the way he intended it. It's the way he likes it. So if I have a Chavez in my pocket, that's how I'm going to rock it. All right. Honey Bear 85. Hey, what's up, man? He says, the new ones really ought to be blind screws. It's a solid slab and the holes over above the skull look cheap. Yeah, I mean, they do kind of have that horn look almost. I don't really mind them, especially on the black on black, because they just kind of fade in. What I would like to see is a better... I don't know, actually. I don't know what I'd like to see. I had a Chavez. It was a Redemption Street. I had it for about 4 or 5 months. Then I sold it, and you know, it was a nice knife, but I don't miss it. Hey, Marcos in the chat. Marcos says, was on Matisfaction live early. Wanted to pass by and say hello and drop a like. Have a good one. You too, brother. Thanks for dropping by. Oreo Dave says, completely agree with the clip assessment. There are 600 other options. Keep looking. Brian Watson, crew wear for the Yojimbo is what I'm looking at. Yes. Oh my God. Listen, crew wear is my, if I could have all my knives in crew wear, I would. I've really enjoyed this because it takes a polished edge, and I love putting polished edges on things. It takes a polished edge so well. It's very tough, and because they heat treat this at like 64, 65 Rockwell, I mean, it has pretty dang good edge retention. I've stropped this earlier than I needed to, because I'm so used to stropping my other knives after I use them. And so I did another box test off camera where I just slicing through, and I probably did about 50, 60 passes, which is way more than I would ever do, you know, just opening up a package or something. But I wanted to see, and I didn't strop it afterwards. And I did a cut test on the paper. It didn't lose any edge. Something else that I did want to talk about is, so I got my buddy in the office at my day job. I got him into knives. Believe it or not, it actually started with a conversation over my Para 3. So I get him into knives, right? And he gets a Spyderco Manix 2 in Maximate, and he loves it, and he's carrying it every day, and he's getting titanium scales, then he gets zirconium scales and custom clip, and he starts just going down the rabbit hole. I know how that goes. And when you carry a knife so often, something's going to happen. That's why I'm careful with only carrying certain knives certain ways, because I don't want something to happen. He drops his Manix. He's just fiddling with it. He drops his Manix onto carpet. It's Maximate. Sticks in the carpet, falls over, snaps the tip off. And so I'm thinking, like, what in the world? And so I start to look into it. So Maximate is very hard, excellent edge retention. It's brittle, though. And so I did a search. A lot of people have actually reported having their Maximate Spydercos crack or have the tip break off for minimal things. And I was thinking about it as like, did Spyderco actually finally go too far on their HRC? I mean, could they have benefited from dialing it down just a little bit on the Maximate? You know, or should we be looking more at, you know, buying a blade steel composition that just fits our needs better? Anyways, no Maximate for me, because I drop stuff. I have dropped this already point first into that same floor because I'm always fidgeting with this thing. I've got busy hands, and I've dropped it, no issue. The tip is still intact, and you know, it's G10, so it's not going anywhere. But my point is that I'd think about Maximate before you buy it. All right, let's see if we can catch up with the chat here. Brian Watson says the Chavez was a grail for a minute until the new versions and the forehead screws went with the something obscene company J-Cape. I wanted one of those. I actually wanted the Blade HQ version. I think they called that one the Blood Money. It had like a red carbon fiber. Oh, that was nasty. The one that I really want from Something Obscene Co. is the Lek. And I'm going to pop this up on Instagram because this is just dirty, man. Like, look at this. That blade shape, though, like, you know me. I love a good Wharncliffe. And so they've done such good work with that. And especially with, I believe this is the Odin's Eye Damascus. Like, what in the world? I mean, the picture's a little grainy, but we won't hold it against them. That is just gorgeous. And it makes me wonder, like, did that version with the custom scale and the Damascus, like, how much did they spend on that? I didn't even see the pre-order for that. It looks like he did run into some issues with one of the Damascus, or Damastil, I guess. One of the Damastil styles, apparently the Fafnir. Did not get sent, not his fault, but it does look like he tried to make it right. Good on him. Seems like a good guy, good part of the community. But look at this. Like, I'm just trying to estimate, how much does this cost? Is this a $700 knife, a $900 knife, $1,000 knife? It's got what looks like a zirconium or zircotite type clip, collar, stud, and then this crazy Damasteel on a knife that was probably already at least $400, $500 to begin with, it with just the plain Jane. That looks so good. It's called the Lek, and apparently there was a pre-order. I didn't see it. Kind of wish that I had, though. But for the record, I'd also be okay with just the regular, black version. Oh, man. That's sexy. All right. So Travis Lance in the house said, wanted to stop by. Love your stuff, man. Keep it up. Love the honesty. Thank you. I appreciate you. All the support, guys. You guys have been amazing. Just supporting the crap out of my videos, commenting. I definitely appreciate it. Keeps me going, keeps me interested. And, it keeps me wanting to make more content. So thank you. I love sharing my hobbies with others. It's one of those things where it's more fun. It's more fun when there's others. Here's the J-Cape that I mentioned, which is the one that I wanted. This is the Blood Money. This is the Blade HQ version. The J-Cape J4 with the Blood Money. I believe that's I'm pretty sure that Blood Money is a what is that? Is that carbon fiber? The rest of the handle might be. Maybe not. Interesting. Looks like I'm not the only person that asked about that. Anyways, the J-Capes are badass, and I would love to have one. It just wasn't in the cards for me when they dropped that. Sometimes you got it, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you go on Knife Swap and try to, get the funds real quick. Wasn't in the cards. I did think it was kind of cool how they did a lot of different exclusives for the J-Cape on the latest drop. Like St. Nick's knives. Like this one's a cool exclusive. And then they also had this guy, which is just trippy. Oh man, that looks like you're on shrooms when you're looking at that scale. Cool inlay though. I think I'd be happy with all of that. That's definitely cool. That one was for Gecko Customs EDC. Never been to that site. And then they of course have these inlays, and like I've looked at Something Obscene Co.'s Instagram a lot. I've been to their website, and it seems like every time I see one that I want, I can never get it because it's either I missed the pre-order or it's not in stock. People buy these; they sell out very quickly. It's just nuts. All right. Oreo Dave says the Blood Money is beautiful. Yeah, man, it's It's the one that I would have picked because I saw all of the exclusives at the same time. And I was looking at this, and for me, it was between this one, which I'm going to call we'll call that the LSD trip. I'm not sure what that one is, but this one, the Blood Money, that's just cool. I like the grind. I like it looks like a deep hollow, but of course, that's a rendering, so you can't necessarily trust it. But from what I've heard, the J-Cape is an absolute awesome user. You get flat grind at the top, hollow grind for the main cutting part. Of course, it is a flipper with a thumb stud. Big old swedge there for nice relief, nice cutting relief at the top. That's so underrated. More knives should have swedges on them. The blade shape almost reminds me of the Plexus a little bit, because the Plexus has a deep hollow and then a flat grind at the tip and a big old swedge here. And this one is a cutting monster. I tested it on some paper and I was pretty satisfied. I won't show that on camera right now because I'm saving that for my Grailer garbage review to show just how good that is. But so far, this guy is, man. If I had bought that, I wouldn't have been able to buy this. And being able to get in on Elijah Isham's last design is something that I did care about, so can't be too disappointed in the end. Brian Watson says, I got the murdered out J-Cape with purple haze fat carbon inlays. Ooh, man, that's what I'm talking about. That sounds awesome. And Lex are available currently if you don't mind a chisel grind. They're a chisel grind? I didn't know that. Where can I find that? SOC back. I've got all my knives on my table, and so I have to be kind of careful about how I put my arms down when I type because I have a tendency to injure myself. All right. Let's see. Products. Hey, there it is. $475. $475. Ooh, that looks good. Murdered out might be the way to go on this one. Chisel satin black. I do like that. If I wanted a Damastil and Zerkatai half-dressed, $1,250. There you go. That's what that costs. But it makes sense. That's a whole lot of bling. That's definitely a knife that probably doesn't see a whole lot of pocket time. Let's read about it. It's a CPM 20 CV steel, 160 thousandths thick, 6AL4V titanium frame lock, ceramic bearings, which it should be, hardened lock face insert. Thank you. Fist logo, box PVC. Okay, so I don't know if all of these are chisel grind, because if I'm reading these options correctly, it sounds like some of them are available in the chisel grind variation. So for example, the Murdered Out is available with the chisel grind. But if, for example, if you get option 4 with the Damastil and Zerkatai accents, it's no chisel grind. I don't have an issue with chisel grind. I actually have cut stuff with chisel grind knives, and if they're done right, they're extremely slicey. I prefer to have a concave bevel or a convex bevel or a zero grind. Chisel grind is not my go-to by any stretch, but I think I'd be okay with it for the right knife. Satin Gentleman. All right. Hey, Mike Reese in the chat. How's it going, Mike? Brian Watson says, do it. You're not a good influence right now. Do you understand? Like, I've spent so much money on knives, let me tell you. I know that you guys probably have as well. Sometimes people reach out to me and be like, "Hey, I just recently bought this and this. What's your opinion?" And we're all mad here. We've all gone down the rabbit hole. I've spent more customizing this thing than I ever had any right to. Same with my Para 3. Right now, I'm going to be responsible and say that as much as I would love to add to cart, can't do it right now. I need to click off of this page now. All right. So, Brian Watson, dinner time later, guys. Thanks for dropping by, Brian. We will see you on the flip side. Thanks for piquing my interest and making me seriously question myself and my budget. Not in the cards. Not right now. What else? You know what I'd like to do is I would like to actually go back to Instagram. So, if anyone's ever interested in where I got my custom scales for my Yojimbo and for the Para 3, I got it from this guy, DNA Lasering 134. His name's Derek. Derek's a cool guy. Works out of the Washington State area. You can see he's got pictures up of those scales, which are the ones that I put on mine, but they're Flightanium scales that he engraved himself, and he does this deep style laser engraving that just looks so good. Gosh, it looks good. He also does a lot of other knives, not just Spyderco. He does some Benchmades. I've seen him do some Chavez scales, which are pretty dang cool. And I've seen him do some really deep engraving ones like this set right here. I have to be careful going to Derek's Instagram, because every time I start looking, I start imagining if I want to do it again, to go down there and customize another knife, because I still need to customize my smock and my Manix 2. I think I'm going to leave the Paramilitary 2 alone. I don't think I'm going to customize it for now. We'll see. But he does coins, scales. He's a good guy, and he does some really good quality work as well. Like, for example, that's just beautiful. I don't care who you are, that's just beautiful. The different heat stresses for the coloring accents. You can tell how deep those lines are. It's not cheap, and he does use good materials with Flightanium. Hey, look at that. There you go. Looks like he did some custom scales for the J-Cape. What are the odds? That's absolutely insane. All right. Oreo Dave says, how does Mrs. Rollshambo feel about your hobby? That's a dangerous question. I might have to invite her in here to answer that question. She supports it. She supports what makes me happy, but she doesn't get it. She's not necessarily a knife person. She loves the knife that I gave her because it stays sharp magically. The edge retention is the best when you're not the one sharpening it. So she supports it because it makes me happy. But she's also the one that holds me back, like, whoa, things like a roof and cars and gas and food. Those are important things too. And I think we all need that one person in our life to hold us financially accountable every now and then. Not to keep us from experiencing the fun things. I don't live to work. I work so I can live. And so if I didn't have fun, I'd be one sad boy. And I think that, that being said, she does a great job of bringing me back down to earth. Like, do you really need this one, or could we miss it? She was in full support when I got the Plexus. So I would not have bought this one had she not given me her full support, because it wasn't necessarily a great time. But I explained the situation to her, and she's like, go for it. So yeah. How do your spouses feel about your knife hobby? That's a better question. I want to see this in the chat. Does anyone have any issues explaining their knife hobby to their spouse? Mike Reese says, so hard not to buy when stuff is on sale. Dude, it's tough. And sometimes you need to. If you know that you're going to buy something regardless, and it goes on a sale, and you know that price is going back up, it makes more sense to buy it because you're saving your future self extra money. Travis says, old school engraving reminds me of an old double barrel shotgun. So nice. The scroll work, am I right? It's like the scroll work on a firearm. I totally see what you're talking about. Dave says, same, supportive, but an eyebrow raised if I start looking at the deep end of the pool. You know, just you know, don't show the price in the cart. Save up. That's the better answer. It is kind of tough because people that don't understand the knife hobby, they'll look at something like this and be like, if you were to ask someone on the street, hey, how much do you think this knife cost? You'd be like, oh, $40, $50. It's rare. $100. And you'd be like, oh no, this one is, you know, $400 or $500, and their jaw falls to the floor because they don't understand. They don't understand the amount of work that goes into the design to get it to manufacturing and all of that. But nerding out about stuff like that is what makes this hobby fun for me. What else? Oh yeah. So I was going to ask, and since y'all are in the chat, why don't you go ahead and let me know? I was thinking about running a poll recently to see if I should change my live stream time. Instead of a Wednesday, I know a lot of people are, you know, getting home from work this time of day. Maybe they're tired, maybe they got dinner to eat. And so I was wondering if Wednesday at 8 Mountain Time is a good time, or if maybe I should go ahead and switch it to see if there's a better time for the majority. For me, I'm kind of open. I picked Wednesday because it's just kind of the middle of the week and it worked well for me. But I also want to make sure that everyone that wants to join can join. And so I want to give people the opportunity to. So yeah, shout out in the chat if there's a good time that you prefer live streams. Or if this works, that works too. Mike says, I just had 3 Kubies delivered to work today from White Mountain Knives, 25% sale. So wife wouldn't see it. Ooh, you sly dog. Was the 25% on top of the 10%? Because I know that if you use the 10% codes, if it's an automatic 25%, I wonder did you get 35% off, Mike? Chris S says, hey, Roll, just joined. How's it going? Got the stickers you sent. Thank you. Awesome, man. I still have some of these. If anyone wants some stickers and you haven't gotten them or you haven't had a chance to, I was selecting comments at random. And then I found out that some people weren't staying in the video long enough to actually see that they got picked. And so I'm going to be giving these away until they're gone on live stream. If you want some stickers, I will send a couple your way. You don't have to pay for shipping. I got envelopes. I got stamps. My email is in the description. Shoot me an email. I will get some stickers sent out. I love sending out some swag. And they're shiny. Holographic. I like them. Travis Lance says, yeah, you can't talk prices. There's no explaining. Same with flashlights, but my wife relates with other stuff. You pay for quality. You know, I was having a discussion with one of the designers from Midgard's Messer who reached out to me after one of my videos, and we were talking about, you know, the price of quality. And he said, in Germany, they say buy nice or buy twice, which reminded me of a saying that I have, which is, you know, buy once, cry once. But that's kind of interesting. If you want the quality, you got to pay for the quality. And if you go with lesser, even if you like it, you'll always be wondering if you should have just spent a little bit more. That's the hard part, is that, you know, the fear, it's FOMO, fear of missing out. Dave says, whatever night works for you. Orion Knife Scorpio has ruined my need for more knives. I'm satisfied my itch for now. For now, that's the key word, man. You know, there have been so many knives that satisfied my itch. This knife, kept me from buying knives for a very long time. And then instead of buying more knives, I bought scales. And then I bought hardware. And then I bought, you know, the 5x5 pickpocket. And then the next knife that I bought was the Yojimbo, and then I did the same thing to that one. And you know, then I went down the rabbit hole again. Oreo Dave says, please throw one in with the Arrakis. I'll throw a couple. Absolutely. Chris says, in my opinion, try different times until you find out what works best. That's not a bad idea. Here's the thing. I'm trying to create consistency, because it's hard for people to commit to joining into a live stream if they don't know when you're going to go in. If they don't know when the live stream is, how are they supposed to join? Mike says, just got the Solaris today. Scorpio is coming Saturday. I got to stop. Man, you're going to love that. That's a good primary and secondary carry. Personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I like them both. I like the Scorpio a little bit better. And the reason why is you can get your full hand gripped around the knife for this insane grip that gives you all the control. There's no other knife that does that. So like the knife is only this long, right? When it's deployed, there's no other knife that long that will give you a normal grip, but also allow you to get the maximum coverage on that knife for the best control, the best leverage. The Scorpio is nuts. That design is underrated, and David from Orion Knives did a phenomenal job. Big fan of that. Something else, Best Tech. I've been in talks with Best Tech recently. They're trying to get more coverage for some of their designers. I'm going to be talking about the Best Tech Ornetta in a video soon. This one has been out for a couple of years. This is the premium model. But you know what's interesting? This guy. This is their midline with this crazy zebra. It reminds me of the 80s, man. It's like zebra print pants. Hello? This is not a frame lock. This is not titanium. This is a less expensive version of the Ornetta. The action is better than the premium. Like this feels better. This looks better. This has better materials. So of course it's more expensive. And there's nothing wrong with the action. The action feels good, but it doesn't feel as good as the liner lock version. What? What? Mike Reese says, Wednesday is Mattisfaction and Neves, so maybe later on Wednesday or Thursdays. That's a good point. You know, I hopped in the Neves live before I went live today, and I was like, you know what? I timed this badly. Because if everyone's watching Neves, they might not even know that I'm going live. So I might change it. I might change it to Thursday. I'm going to do some research to see when the least amount of live streams are happening from bigger channels. Chris says, I got my Thunderbird today. Nice knife for $120. I've always wanted a button lock harpoon. The Thunderbird looks like a button lock harpoon. I hear that it's extremely fidgety. A little jealous, not gonna lie. Oreo Dave says, Mike Reese, I hope you love the Scorpio. I can't believe he's not sold out by now. So he keeps re-upping. My understanding is that he tried to buy a certain amount because he anticipated that there was going to be higher than normal sales. He put a lot into the design on this one. The one that I'm waiting for Dave from Orion Knives come out with is the Cetus. The Orion Cetus. I can't wait. I love the blade shape. It's got a fuller. It's kind of it's almost like a hawk bill blade, but it looks super fidgety, and yeah, I'm excited for that one. Dave says, I left Neves for this. Dang, man. Thank you. And for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, Oreo Dave was kind enough to lend me this guy. He gave me an opportunity that I've wanted for a very long time. So I'm going to be doing a overview, and I'm going to be doing a ranking on this guy, the Isham Arrakis, manufactured by We. And in case you missed it, watch this action. Just, it's so smooth. That is ridiculously smooth action. So I'm excited about that. The WE Knives Arrakis. I already know there's going to be comments on that video saying it's not my style, it's not my style. I have a feeling if more people held this, they would not be saying that, because this is just sweet. Mike Reese says, I like the Thunderbird. Got it yesterday. I like the Solaris better. The Thunderbird kind of reminds me of a button lock Civivi Keen Natter. Ooh. Travis Lance, that's smart, man. Find that niche in the algorithm. I see your channel growing for sure. I like your grading system. Thank you. You know, the Grailer garbage ranking is not perfect by any stretch. There's holes in it, but I am working on it. I'm finding some good consistency, and I'm holding myself accountable. You know, I did a couple test runs on some of my knives that I love, that I also know would not rank well. And it's heartbreaking to me. And I've been avoiding making those videos because, for example, and you know what? I got to grab it. Hold on. So, this is my beloved Boker Pocket Smash It. I love this knife. This knife is $100. It's awesome. It looks like a little sword. I put one of the best mirror edges that I've ever done on there. The pivot is never loosened. When you flick this thing, it fires with authority. Like, my goodness. I love this knife, and I carry this knife, and it's great. It will not rank well when I rank it. I'll give you an example. It's got VG10 steel. One deployment. It's an awkward size. The ergonomics are kind of like a buffet. You know, show up and serve yourself. So when I start going through my grading system, it really has humbled me, because I look at this knife and I say, I love this knife. I would buy this knife. I would recommend this knife to me, but could I recommend it to everybody? Is this a high recommend even? Spoiler alert, it is not. I could not recommend this to everybody, and the reason why I couldn't recommend this to everybody is, for one, the blade size is too big. It's not a very good steel for the price. For $100, you can get better blade steel than VG10. It's got rosewood handle scales, and there's nothing wrong with rosewood. Rosewood is a good hardwood, especially for handle scales. But at the $100 price point, I felt like they could have done better on the handle scale material and the blade material. I would have liked to have seen at least an attempt at a backspacer, because looking at the inside of this is not great. I mean, it's not going to rank well. But I love this knife. It's just not going to rank well. All right. Mike Reese says, yeah, Bees did a video on the Scorpio, and I couldn't wait. Thought it would sell out, and I didn't know if he'd re-up. What's the Orion knives you're looking out for? The Cetus, and I'll type it here in the chat. Cetus. Let me see if I can find it. You know what? Let me see if I can find it real quick. Hang tight, kids. Let's go. Where is it? Where is it? Don't fail me, Google. It's not out yet. So here's the thing. I know that I could hit this video because Mattis Faction actually did a video at Blade Show. Was it Blade Show or SHOT Show? He did a video where David from Orion Knives had one. He had a prototype at the show. I don't necessarily know if showing a video on my live would be bad. I don't see a lot of people do that. But if you're interested in the Cetus, just type in CETUS in YouTube and you can check it out. Keep in mind that is a prototype, so there's no guarantees that the final version is going to look like that. But I'm really excited about it. The design is just something that I think is really cool, something that's very useful, and I'm excited. Travis Land says, but that's what we really need, man. Some hardcore honesty, not tripping over some hype, because it does happen. Absolutely. Look, I've gotten so much hate for giving my honest opinion about the Demco AD 20.5. And here's the thing. I don't hold anyone's personal opinion about that knife against them. The main question that I would love to ask people about the AD 20.5 when they tell me that it's not overpriced is, would you rather pay $150 for that base model, or would you rather pay $100? I could swallow $100. You know what? I'll buy the small company talk at $100. But how many people would honestly stand there and be like, yeah, no, I want to pay $150 for this instead of $100? Like, I don't get it. If you want to know what I'm talking about, I still get comments. That's one of my earlier videos, and I still get comments of people just blackballing the crap out of me because I basically said that it was overpriced. A lot of people agreed with me, but I also try not to dig into the drama too much. That was just a video where I got tired of watching all the good reviews were like, yes, this is a great knife for $150. It's worth it, and blah. And I got tired of hearing that because the people that were saying that got those knives for free. And I know that for a fact. And it makes me wonder if it clouded their ability to talk about the knife honestly. Like these knives, these are loners. When I talk about Midgard's Messer, man, these are loners. I did not promise them to say anything good about these knives. I love them because they're chunky, they're big. I like big knives. I mean, obviously, if you couldn't tell. But they have good cutting geometry. They fit in the pocket. So no one's paying me to say good things about companies. I'm okay. I'm okay giving my honest opinion about it. And not everything. I don't like absolutely everything about these Midgard Messers either. They need to do something about this pocket clip. The pocket clip looks good, but it doesn't function as good as it could. And I think that they could make some really key changes if they were to go to more of a down the center style clip, because they could use it as an extra over travel stop. It would feel better in the hand ergonomically speaking, and they could get a deeper carry. Because when you're carrying this thing, which is, it's like 12 ounces. The last thing you want is to have more of it sticking out of your pocket than you need to. I do like a lot of other things about it, though. Chris says, I'm in the Wii Chimera Club with you, Roll, but I have a Jeff Perkins custom. Has the lightning anodized titanium. JD Cutlery sells some knives for a decent price. So, some of you may have noticed that you haven't seen my Chimera in a long time. There's actually a very sad story behind that. My Wii Chimera was one of my earlier videos, and I was at an in-between point where I really, really needed more content, and I didn't have a whole lot of knives that were interesting enough to trade or to sell. And so I went on Knife Swap, and I offered up my Chimera for trade or for sale. And I was primarily looking for a sale. Here's where the sad part happens. So I got a trade offer for a Microtech stitch. I have always wanted a Microtech stitch. And this was before manufacturers were willing to respond to my emails or, send me review loaners. And so the one thing I should have done, I didn't do. I didn't verify the serial number. All Microtechs are serialized, so you can look them up. I could see that it had a serial number. The guy sent me a picture of an invoice for what he bought it for. And it gets here, and I can tell immediately it's a fake. The guy becomes dodgy on Knife Swap, and it took me about 2 months. It took me 2 months to get. And here's the thing. The guy on Knife Swap claimed that my knife never made it, that he didn't know it was a fake. And he claimed that my knife never made it, which is baloney, because they said that they delivered it. They could track the GPS to his house. But then again, you know, packages get stolen off of doorsteps every day. And so they banned him from Knife Swap. I got an insurance claim with some money in it so I could buy another knife. But I lost my Chimera, and now I have a cheap clone stitch that at some point I need to make a video about to help people figure out if they're looking at a real one or a fake one. But that fake stitch breaks my heart, man. He says, Chris S says, go back to full screen. Let's do it. All right, here we go. This is what's in my pocket today. We got the Strider 3/4 AR, 0.75 AR. Been breaking this bad boy in, and you know what? I know that there's a lot of people out there that are like, I don't like Strider knives, I don't like the price. Carrying this has been so much fun, but I'm curious, what is everyone carrying today? What's in your pocket? Let's do a pocket check on this live stream. Let's see what everyone's carrying. All right. I think the chat might actually be a little bit behind the video, by the way. Travis Lance says, breaks your heart, man, but hey, that's turning your lemons into lemonade. You know what? At the end of the day, it is what it is, and it's a story. And I can't just bottle up the mistakes that I've made, because if I make that mistake, somebody else is going to make that mistake too. And if I can at least save someone else from getting screwed over by a scammer, by someone that obviously knows that what they're trading or selling you is a fake, then it will have been worth it down the road. You know, for some people, they're not fortunate enough to get their hands on as many knives as I am. So if I can help out those who don't have as much opportunity to know these things, I absolutely will. Chris S says, Thunderbird for me in the pocket, right on. Oreo Dave says, love that you're willing to educate others on how to avoid fakes. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a salty subject for me, because every time I hold that knife, I just think about my Chimera and how much I liked it and how much I hated putting it up for sale or trade originally anyways. But you got to get something out of it. You know, if I can help out others and also get more content for the channel, might as well. Matthew Russell is carrying the Demko 20.5, right on. Right after I started talking about how I didn't like the price on it. Mike Reese says he's carrying the Vosti Thunderbird and the Beluga, the petrified fish Beluga, right on. Oreo Dave's carrying the Scorpio. We got Double D in the chat. Ferrum Forge Stinger, nice. I've been wanting to get my hands on a Ferrum Forge Stinger. Those knives look sweet. Travis is carrying the Para 3 and the QSP Mamba. Man, I've also heard some good things about the QSP Mamba. This has been the one that's been in my pocket all day between today and yesterday. And then before that, believe it or not, I office carried this guy just to prove that I could. I office carried the Thunrar, which, by the way, according to the designer, the Thunrar is Old Nordic for Rolling Thunder. Originally, I thought it was Thunder God. It's Rolling Thunder. So if you didn't know, now you know. Stinger is definitely sexy. All right, so let's see here. What else? you're guys interested in hearing about another knife that would not rank well on my channel, there was a comment. And if you're wondering about why I'm talking about knives that wouldn't rank well on my list, that I actually do need to make videos for, ranking videos for, there was a comment on one of my recent videos where someone said, hey, it'd be nice to provide more context to fill out the grail or garbage list if we could actually get some knives that you consider garbage on that list. And immediately my thought was, well, I don't want to make videos about knives that I hate, but people might not like that. And then I started thinking about it, like, no, they're right. If everything that I make a video about is a high recommend or above, what kind of context am I really offering? Does Rollshambo only like knives? Does he only do videos on knives that he likes? Or is everything great? Or, what's going on there? I have probably about 3 or 4 knives in my possession that will not rank well on my list. This is one of them. This is the first knife that I bought for myself that really kicked off my urge to start collecting knives. And here's the thing. I've always been a fan of knives, but there was a switch that went off in my head where I decided to really start looking into the quality of the knife. I started watching knife videos, thinking about detent, fidget factor, edge retention, all of that good stuff. And this knife was it. I bought this with a $50 Amazon gift card. You'll notice that this knife has a polished edge. This knife taught me how to sharpen my knives. I sharpened this one to a polished edge with a Lansky, not a Work Sharp Precision Adjust, with a Lansky. And that's a lot harder to do with the Lansky because they're not as precise. The detent sucks. I'm not sure if this is even G10. The pocket clip is garbage. It has one good thing. I'll say this. It has one good thing. It's a $50 knife with a crowned spine. $50 knife with a crown spine. Randomly good. It's almost impossible to fidget with, but it makes a phenomenal unboxing knife. I absolutely love unboxing with this knife because the edge is so good. It just powers through things. Like, we did some cut tests earlier. Why not? I'll finish off. This was a mailer, by the way. Apparently, voting season is in. Terrible knife with an amazing edge, which is kind of funny to me. It just rips through whatever. And it's D2. D2 is not supposed to take a very good polished edge, but this one did. And it's also easy to strop with because of that crowned spine. So I'll show you, for example, when I strop with this, I don't even have to look at it. I could feel the edge. And boom. This will shave arm hair, leg hair, face hair, whatever you want. But it sucks. This is not a great knife. The materials aren't great, and the lockup. Let's see if I can show you that lockup. That lockup is way too late. See how it's in the middle of the blade stock? You can't trust that. But this is also the knife that's responsible for me getting into knife collecting. So, I like the knife because of that reason, not because it's good. I'm going to have to do a review on it so that people understand what's a grail and what's garbage. Because I'll be honest with you, even though I like this and I appreciate it, it's not a grail. All right, looks like I need to catch up on the chat. What do we got? Oreo Dave says, Scorpio and the Civivi Kiwi for the stealth cut. I dig it. Stinger is sexy. Did you cut the locks off the door to the office? No. I need those locks, okay? Matthew Russell, I wasn't happy with the price either, but got it for $125 from Knife Center with D2. There we go. At $125 for the 80 20.5 with D2, I would do that. I could see that. I would prefer $100, but I could see that. And it's also one that I would consider adding the original goat scales to for the titanium. Something that I would love to do to an 80-20.5, if I could justify it, would be to add the original goat thick scales, because one of the things that I don't like about the 80-20.5 is just how thin the handle scales are. It's the same issue that I actually have with the C. Risner Penguin. If you guys saw my ranking of this, that was my one gripe, was that I felt like the handle scales for the ergonomics was too thin. It helps with the carry profile in the pocket, absolutely. You know, it doesn't feel like anything in the pocket. But I do prefer thicker scales because they just feel, you get a better grip in the hand. And this still ranked well because at the end of the day, the titanium was so well done. The blade is so well done. This knife is a destroyer of anything. I haven't sharpened it. I've only stropped it. And it's already just as sharp as this one, which has, you know, one of the best polished edges that I have. You know, that's why I use this crappy knife for unboxing, is because the edge is so good. But now that I've done my ranking on this, I don't feel bad about it. I might have to do a deep bevel polished mirror edge, full mirror edge on this, which for M390 is not going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of passes on the work sharp. But I have a feeling that this could be one of the best cutting knives that I have after that happens. So we'll see. All right. Chris S says, I've held some Stryders that felt great and one that felt very subpar. So here's the thing. Strider knives have a specific break-in period. These are meant to be users. What makes this knife so crazy is that not only is it a collector's knife, it's also a user knife. There's very few knives that work best in both roles. There's a lot of knives that are either really good as a user or really good as, you know, a safe queen. The Strider knives kind of check both of those boxes. So because they're running off of phosphor bronze washers, and because of how aggressive that ceramic detent ball is against the face of the tang, there is a break-in period. Over the last couple days, I've been doing a lot of this, because when I got it, it would not flick out. The action felt very stiff, but I knew that was going to be the case based on the reports that I'd heard, the other videos that I'd seen. And sure enough, the break-in period on this is so much fun. It's so much fun to literally watch the detent path make its way and build its path into the tang of the blade. That's cool. And to feel it become more smooth and more smooth on a daily basis is really, really neat. A couple days ago, I couldn't even get it to go shut it all, you know, without two-handing that sucker, and now it's very smooth. Oreo Dave said, I had the blacked out flipper, not D2 version, but still nice and slicey. Double D says, anyone have an experience with the Kizer Noble? I do not, but now I want to find out. So I'm going to briefly pull it over here, and I'll switch back to the full screen. Kizer Noble. What are we looking at? Okay. $144. Not bad. CPM S35 VN. It's a flat ground Tonto. Plain stone wash. It's a flipper frame lock. Yeah. You know what? I've never checked this one out. This is my first time really looking into it. But here's the thing. Kizer has so many models. It's really, really easy. It's really, really easy. There my intro goes. Let's fix that. It's really easy to miss some Kizer models because they come out with so many. But for $144, you get titanium S35 VN, frame lock, flipper, tip up carry. and what looks like Tonto blade. Could be a good one. All right. Double D says, check out White Mountain Knives for the Noble. Did I misspell Noble? Is it Nobel? Let's find out. All right, so I got it pulled up here. I just typed in Kizer knob just to make sure I'm not misspelling it on my end. That's not seeing it, not seeing it. All right, let's try actually typing it in. Is it the, let me see. Is it the Kubi Noble or the Kizer Noble? Maybe I was looking at the wrong one. Because we got to go back. I am seeing this guy. What? Is this the right one? The Kubi Noble, 48 bucks, G10 stonewash. I actually like that blade shape a lot. D2. So it'll be a workhorse. Definitely be a workhorse. I actually don't mind the look of that blade shape. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, nope, it is a regular flipper. Okay. Yeah. I'm not sure if that was the one that you were mentioning. But those are the only Nobles I'm finding. There's the QSP Raffir Noble. The Spyderco Chaparral Raffir Noble brass handle CTS XHP. What? Oh, that's old Sprint Run. Okay. Discontinued Kizer Noble frame lock, titanium. Boom, there it is. Found it. And for those of you who are interested in pulling up and seeing what I was looking at, this is the one that I was looking at. It is, boom. That's a good looking knife. It's definitely a good looking knife. I like how it has at least a partial backspacer in the back. It's S35VN is a great blade steel. I absolutely love it. Just shy of 8 inches overall, 3.5 inch blade, so plenty of blade there. And it's designed by Sebastian Irawan, just over 3 ounces. So it's a light knife. I'm not surprised though, that looks fairly skeletonized. Yeah. Looks like it's been discontinued, and it used to be $165. Now you can get it for $94. Might not be a bad deal. All right, so. Okay, so yeah, Double D says I was looking at the right one first. It's the Kizer Noble. Don't have it, but may pull the trigger for that price. Dude, for 95 bucks. If you like, this is the time. Here's what gets me, and this is why I've spent so much money on knives in the past, especially when you see the word discontinued. You know it's not coming back. It's not like, oh, I'll put away, like if times are a little tough, it's not like, oh, I can put away and come back next month and buy this, because it could be gone. It might still be there, or it could be gone. And that's the hard part with collecting knives is that when you see something become discontinued, it's just a matter of time. And that's where the missus really comes in handy, and she's like, stop, food, rent, gas. We can't eat knives. Double D says 85 bucks with discount code. God damn. Tell you what, man, pick it up and hit me up on on Instagram and let me know if it's good. That's if there's a time to buy it, the time to buy it is now. Because at 95 bucks before another 10% discount, it's not going to get any cheaper than that. Sebastian Irawan. I've heard of that designer before, but I'm not. His designs are not coming to mind. Holy cannoli. We've been going for about an hour and 20 minutes. Guys, I've been rambling. I really appreciate everyone for ducking in the live stream today, keeping me company, talking about some knives. I'll be back next week. I may change the time of the live stream. We'll see. I'm going to see who's doing what live stream, what day, what time, so that I don't have any collisions with other channels. So I might go ahead and change it. I'm going to run a poll in the channel community, and yeah. Other than that, I appreciate everyone for dropping by, and I will see you on the flip side.